Hi, my name is Jay Sugarman, and I want to welcome you to Innovation Showcase. The main purpose of this ongoing series is to inform viewers about exciting innovations and creative individuals across the fields of business, science, technology, education, and the arts. Today, via Zoom, we're fortunate to have as our guests Jayan Gandhi and Jay Malhotra. Jayan is a junior at Buckingham, Browne, and Nichols, and Jay is a sophomore at Milton Academy. They're here today to inform us about the first National High School Sports Analytics Summit, which they organized and hosted on March 2nd at the Boston Convention and Exhibition Center. During the program, we'll find out why and how the summit came about. We'll hear about the outstanding keynote speakers and career panelists, as well as the high school students who presented their insightful research and projects. In the process, we'll come to better understand and appreciate the ever-growing role, importance, and usage of analytics throughout the sports world. Let's start by meeting Jayan and Jay and then learning all about the National High School Sports Analytics Summit. Welcome. So delighted you're both able to be here.
Thank you so much
Thank you
for
for
having
having us.
Having followed the MIT Sloan Sports Analytics Conference for more than 15 years now, it was of high interest to first read about both of you and your initiatives. So I'm eager to find out more and have you inform viewers. But before we jump right to that, I think it would be of interest if each of you would just briefly share a little bit more about your background, perhaps some interest in and out of school. Jayan, would you start, please?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm 16 years old and go to BB&N, and I'm interested in playing and following all different types of sports and trading sports trading cards. In school, some of my interests are math, economics, and computer science. And what I love about sports analytics is that it combines all three.
Most definitely, most definitely. Jay, welcome. A little bit about
Thank you.
yourself, please.
Yeah, so like Mr. Sugarman said, my name is Jay and I'm a sophomore at Milton Academy. I've been interested in basketball my entire life. It's my favorite sport and passion. And another one of my passions is math. And I've also been interested in computer science the last couple of years as well. And similar to Jay and sports analytics and data and sports analytics in that field in general has been a way for me to combine all of my passions together. And my first real experience with doing sports analytics was when I got to present a poster at the MIT Sports Analytics Conference in middle school about the NBA that I did.
Mm,
So yeah, I've been interested in this for a long time, and especially because it's a way for me to combine all of my favorite passions.
definitely, definitely. Before we move ahead, for those who maybe aren't as familiar, just a quick word about what the field of sports analytics comprises.
Yeah, for sure. Sports analytics is about using data and numbers to make better decisions in the field. And it stems from the humans may have biases, and finding conclusions through data helps take away those biases and might help people find patterns that they weren't able to find before. Um, yeah, so for example, sports analytics could be used to determine whether or not to go on a fourth down in a football game, or it could be used to say how much money should we pay this player in the next couple of years.
Yeah, I'm just gonna jump in and add another example relating to basketball that I know pretty well. About 5, 6 years ago, the Houston Rockets were looking at whether three-pointers were more efficient or mid-range jump shots were more efficient. And it turns out that the calculations that they did was actually a very simple calculation. They found that there was a 40% chance of making a three-pointer, and a three-pointer is worth 3 points. So 40% times 3 is 1.2 points. There's a 50% chance of making a mid-range jump shot, and a jump shot's worth 2 points. So 50% times 2 is 1. And because 1.2 is bigger than 1, then three-pointers are more efficient than mid-range jump shots. So I just found that it was pretty interesting how something that you might think is super complex ends up being a really simple calculation.
And the one you just mentioned definitely seems to be part of the Celtics philosophy these days as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. A lot of
Yeah,
other
for
teams
sure.
adapted that kind of culture and play style.
Definitely, definitely. Well, You know, we've heard a little bit about how you became interested in the field, each of you. What was the inspiration and motivation for putting together this summit?
Yeah, so for me, the idea actually came from a failure. So I submitted an abstract on my research to the MIT Sloan Sports Analytics Conference before, and I was disappointed that it got rejected. It was on using neural network and artificial intelligence to predict NFL games, which actually did it at a better rate than some of the sports books. But yeah, I was disappointed when I didn't get it, and but I received a lot of feedback from the MIT folks, and they said I was going up against professionals with the PhDs, and their research was obviously a lot, stronger than mine, a group of PhD students uh, versus me. So that idea came to me when I was like, oh, I have something interesting to say in sports analytics, and I'm sure that my peers do too. And there was no real avenue for us to express our findings in the sports analytics world. And additionally, over the summer, I had the opportunity to attend the Wharton Moneyball Academy. It was a 3-week program of high schoolers, and just from listening to all their presentations, it was like, wow, they have a lot of interesting things to say, but just no real avenue for them to present. So, yeah, that's how the idea for the conference came about. And our goal was to tell other high school students that they can make an impact in the field of sports analytics, even from a young age.
Yeah, I'm
Must
just going to add on to that. Yeah, so when Jane and I both went to the MIT Sports Analytics Conference, we realized that sports analytics and data science in general aren't fields that high school students have much access to. And I was fortunate enough to be able to present at the MIT conference as a grade school student. And similar to Jay, and through my own presenting, I realized that high school students can have an impact in sports analytics, even if we haven't completed our schooling or have any professional experience. Of course, it may not be as rigorous as professionals, but we can still contribute. And that motivated us to start our organization, NHSSAA, which stands for the National High School Sports Analytics Association. And we thought that NHSSAA would be a great way for high school students to have a platform to share their own research and to hear from others, from other professionals. And beyond high school students with means, we also wanted to give underrepresented high school students the opportunity to learn as well. We know that certain groups historically may not have had the same access in sports as others. So NHSSAA is allowing students to participate early in their educational careers in hopes of encouraging groups like women and those who um, who are from less resource backgrounds to participate in sports analytics and management. For example, a way that we've been doing this is that for our conference, we had a scholarship option for anyone that needed financial assistance.
Nice, nice. So just sort of fast forwarding from the initial idea, the goals you had in mind, what were some of the logistics before you actually held the event just a couple weeks ago now?
Yeah. So yeah, the logistics were super involved, and at times it could feel like, a full-time activity. But planning for the conference actually started this summer, and we had a lot to do, including getting space, setting up the organization legally, creating the website, figuring out the registration software, working with the lawyers to create waivers, and marketing the conference to other students, and then also securing speakers and getting sponsorship money. So basically, yeah, this effort was like essentially a startup that we kind of had to build from scratch. And there were some challenges for us, especially because we're just high school students, and a lot of people didn't take us seriously initially, and we had to prove ourselves to both sponsors and attendees. And but like, however, with like persistence, we knew that Jay and I could solve these challenges, and we are also very fortunate and grateful for the support of the MIT conference, who really helped us with the logistics, and we also had an amazing team behind us as well. So, yeah.
What were some of the criteria that you put out in trying to get proposals from different students to present? What was involved in that aspect?
So a lot of people went to our website and they saw that there was an opportunity for high school students to present. And a lot of them contacted us individually. And what we did was we had a Zoom call with them. We had them present their idea. If they already had a presentation made, then they would present that to us. And if they didn't, we didn't want to reject anybody because we want to try to have it be as open as possible to as many different students as possible. So if it wasn't, I guess you could say, ready enough to be presented, then we kind of helped them work through it, help them get it to that, get it ready to that point where it's ready to be presented. And we ended up having five student research presentations. The first one was talking about MLB salaries. The second one was a student who used basketball statistics to help his own high school team.
Hmm.
The other one was looking at MLB lineups and the most efficient for that. The fourth one was about NFL kickers, and the last one was about using a new basketball stat using AI called Real Plus Minus.
Terrific, terrific. Well, in addition to the student presenters, you put together just a stellar agenda for the whole experience. A little bit about your thinking and assembling
Mhm.
the incredible lineup that we're about to see.
Yeah, so we sent many cold emails out to potential speakers and collaborators, and it was a lot of work to do all of that. But Jane and I we were very passionate about this, and it's something that we knew that we wanted to get done. So we put our mind to it. And to all these people, we had to introduce ourselves and our mission. And fortunately, many people were receptive for the most part. And through being persistent and a lot of effort, we were able to be fortunate enough to have a really great set of speakers who all generously shared their time. Our keynote speakers at the conference were Daryl Morey, Jessica Galeman, and Nate Silver. We had four career panelists: Mike Zarin, Megan Chaika, Evan Walsh, and Ben Shields. And then we had our five student research presenters. And something I want to add is just that all of these speakers came without us paying them anything. They just wanted to help out the next generation get involved with this field. And sorry, we're especially grateful to Daryl Morey and Jessica Gelman for all of their and the MIT Sports Analytics Conference's help and support through everything that we've done.
Terrific, terrific. And I know you also had a special workshop. A few words about that experience?
Yeah, yeah, that was great. So yeah, we had a workshop where we we made it interactive so that the kids, instead of just listening the whole time, could maybe use some of the sports analytics stuff they were learning from earlier in the day. So what we did is we broke everyone down into groups, and we gave them 10 minutes to optimize their fielding strategy and baseball. And yeah, there were a lot of cool and unique ideas that people used for that.
Terrific, terrific. You know, for those of us who weren't there, just a couple words about what some of the either keynote or the panelists shared with the students and others during the summit. What were some of the highlights?
Yeah. So I think that most of the stuff could be broken down into two different things. And the first one was like kind of what goes on behind the scenes in the sports analytics world. And especially, Daryl Morey was great with that and just telling us how, some basketball negotiations, how those take place. And then the second one, and probably more importantly, is just career advice as we all move forward and in our life. And they really made it clear to us that yeah, we can make a difference. And if you keep following your passions, then you'll end up in a great place.
Yeah, and I think the high school students really got a lot out of these high up professionals giving them inspiration, especially because these are people that all of these kids look up to. Them getting to be in the same room and listening to somebody like Daryl Morey, who's the GM of a team, telling them that they can accomplish what they want to do is something that I'm sure really stood out to all of them.
Most definitely. What was some of the reaction and feedback from the participants, from the contributors at the conference? What was everybody's reaction to you or that you observed throughout the day?
Yeah, so yeah, overall, we think that the event went smoothly, and we just sent a survey out to the people who are attending the conference. And so far, the results have been pretty positive, with people really highlighting that they've gotten to hear from some of the top speakers and see other students be able to present their own findings. And we even had one school that came all the way from California, and they're planning on creating their own high school sports analytics event there as well. So yeah, so far, yeah, all positive reviews. But yeah, obviously it didn't go perfectly, and there are things that Jay and I are gonna improve on for the next time. But I think it was a great start for the conference.
That was my next question. Looking back, what are some of your thoughts from initially starting the group, organizing the summit, to now having successfully pulled off your first one?
Mhm.
In retrospect, what are you thinking, Jay?
Yeah, so I mean, first of all, the most important thing that we learned is that if you have a vision for something, no matter how out of reach it appears at first, that hard work and and persistence can really make a difference. When we started, we had no idea that we'd have the speaker lineup that we had, or that we would draw interest from around 120 different high school students from 41 different high schools. Um, but in terms of the event itself, we hope to improve certain elements such as our format and maybe having some more interactive lesson sessions. We did have the Red Sox speaker, which was great, but I think having more things like that would make it more interesting and more compelling for the high school students. We're also thinking about having more events throughout the year instead of just the conference. So maybe we're thinking about doing an online version, or another thing that we might be thinking is having a similar conference in the fall. And we're also considering expanding to other locations across the country so other people in other different areas can get involved in this field as well. And like Jayan mentioned, there was a school from California who were inspired and want to create their own kind of conference as well. So we're actually going to be talking to them in the next couple of weeks and helping them start their own conference like we did. Um, and we also hope to add a networking component. Given the number of students that came to our conference from different areas and different backgrounds, we think that they can benefit from meeting one another and collaborating on projects, or even just sharing ideas. And we hope to continue our organization even past when we're in high school, and which is part of the reason why we're building out our team, so that even when we're done with high school, then we have other high school students keeping the organization alive and holding the same events, and maybe even creating more after we leave high school.
In addition to the two of you, can you give us a little sense of the expanded team that you've developed and are continue to grow, the different roles that some of the individuals are playing, whether it was for the summit or for the organization?
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, we have a marketing team, and that helps us recruit other students, and also a social media team as well. And yeah, we on our team right now we have James Constant, Ginny Cho, Amin Malik, and Max Hampson, all of whom have been amazing and great at helping us run the event.
Terrific, terrific. Going forward, you mentioned a number of potential plans. Will one of them continue to be to try to piggyback on the MIT and Sloan conference as well?
Yeah, so every year we definitely would love to host a conference at the same location as MIT. And part of the reason that we're piggybacking off of them is that all of these amazing speakers are going to be in town, and really like in rooms next door to our conference during that weekend. So if we were to do it at another time in the year, all these professionals and all these super high up people are going to be all around the country. So it's very unlikely that we could get them all to come to speak to high students. So by having it hosting at the same location and at the same time as the MIT conference, it was a lot easier for us to get the speakers to come to our conference, which is why we still have to think about the logistics for how we would go about doing a conference in the fall as well. But that's something that we're still in the process of talking about.
And yeah, just to add to that on for the MIT front, I just like want to say again like how grateful both of us are for Daryl and Jessica because they didn't have to help us at all. We're essentially just a startup going to, one the probably the in my opinion the best sports analytics conference in the world. So I think that just speaks to both of them, and we're both really grateful with them.
Mhm.
Oh, no, very generous of them with their time and knowledge, expertise for sure, for sure. In the little time we have remaining, why do you think the whole field of sports analytics has geometrically grown over the past maybe 20 years or so? To where it is today. It seems like professional sports teams, for the most part, have divisions within their organization just dedicated to having specialists in this field. What are some of your thoughts on the growth and over time?
Yeah, so I think the whole sports analytics movement started with Moneyball and the Oakland Athletics, and the general concept of that is the Oakland Athletics didn't have as much money or not a lot of money at all compared to the Red Sox and Yankees to spend on these baseball players, so they needed to find a new way to be able to compete with those teams. So sports analytics was their solution where they tried to find undervalued players, and they ended up building a great roster and having some great seasons with spending a lot less money than teams like the Red Sox, the Yankees, the Dodgers. So yeah, I think it's just blown up from there. It's just made decision making more efficient, and maybe yeah, it's made decision making like a lot more efficient for all these teams. So, now there's almost every single professional sports team uses sports analytics.
Another thing that I want to add is about the human side of sports versus the analytics side of sports. And some people are even arguing that sports analytics is kind of ruining sports. Um, but in my opinion, even when there's sports analytics involved, there's always some element of human aspect to it. So I feel like having data and sports analytics and looking at that when making decisions as adds another layer of complexity and makes things even more interesting when you're dealing with sports instead of just having a human element, now you can have both the human element with the data analytics.
Most definitely. In the few minutes we have left, be interesting to hear from each of you briefly, either some of your current research or plans for your work going forward. Jayan, what are some of your thoughts on your own work?
So yeah, I presented some of my work at the conference, and I created a new metric for NFL kickers using some variables that aren't usually traditionally used in kicker evaluation, including humidity and temperature. And it's nowhere close to a finishing product yet, but it's been really cool to see like what those variables can mean to kicking. And yeah, and I created a stat called EPA, called or expected points above average, and it basically takes the kicker and it says how many extra points did they add above the average kicker in the NFL. And I think Justin Tucker from my data, Justin Tucker had the best season in I think 2016 with 18 points above average. So that was like 3 touchdowns, and that was pretty cool to see that a kicker can make that much of a difference. So yeah, that's what I'm working on right now.
Yeah, very insightful. Jay, how about yourself?
Yeah, so my first experience with doing my own data analytics project was in middle school, like I mentioned about the poster that I presented. Now I'm obviously still interested in data analytics in sports. And what I actually did today was I emailed my track coach and I asked, so something that I do also is track and long jump specifically. And I'm not sure if you guys know how long jump works, but you get 3 tries each time you go. And if you step over the line, then that's a fault, and that score doesn't count. And I did some research and I saw that there was like little to no analytics on track and long jump in particular. So I emailed my track coach today and asked if he had the stats from the different long jumps from the past couple of years from every meet. And if and when he gives it to me, I'm hoping to look at that and kind of analyze when people take the most risks in faulting, which jump people get their highest score doing when they jump, and hopefully using that to help out my own team and help out my school with long jump as well. So I'm hoping that he gets back to me on that. And if he does, then I'm hoping I can use that in computer science and data in general to help out my team in long jump.
Terrific, terrific. You know, in closing, how can viewers and others stay informed with your work, possibly get in touch?
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, we have a website where, updates will be posted pretty regularly on our future plans, and we'd also love it if any other high school students could get involved. And if anybody has an interest in this, please email us, and both Jay and I would love to talk.
Yeah, and like I mentioned earlier about growing the organization past when we're in high school, we'd love to build out our team. So anybody who's interested in helping us, we'd love for you guys to reach out because we'd love as many people to get involved, both for them and for the sake of the organization, and just growing it as much as possible.
Terrific, terrific. Well, there is indeed growing interest in the field from all levels, and from your work to seasoned professionals that we read about daily, and the impact that they're having in all the sports that we follow. But in closing, though, I want to thank both of you again, congratulate you on pulling off incredible initiative, continued success with future endeavors.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Also want to thank those of you watching for joining, and hope you'll be able to tune in next time.